Hello everyone and welcome to Forever Sports and Forever Rugby. And the Stormers have got their Super Rugby Unlocked campaign off to the perfect start by beating the Lions 23-17 in Newlands. A fantastic match, and a match which got a lot better, and a very close match right at the end. Obviously, with the Lions coming just short, despite being right nearby the try line. And before you go any further and start dissecting the match, please do consider subscribing. Bottom right hand corner there. We are trying to push to 200 subscribers. Thank you everybody who's subscribed so far. So please do like and subscribe, smash a like, share it with your friends. Let's try and build the followers on the channel. And yeah, so a very, very close game, and a game where the Lions' discipline was ultimately the reason they didn't win. You know, if you go and look at the entire match, key moments were often where the Lions lost the game as opposed to the Stormers winning it. And that's not to say the Stormers didn't deserve to win, because at the end of the day, you do the basics right, and you pitch up when it counts, and you make and you win the key clashes. You deserve to win the match, which is exactly what the Stormers did. So if you look at the first half, pretty much the Lions, in many ways, outplayed the Stormers. You know, they looked sharper, they looked physically up to it, which was interesting. You know, the scrums in the first half were very, very even. Which we didn't think it was going to be. Obviously, with the Stormers having so much experience in the pack, you know, Springbok front row, I thought that Steve Satole, Jakov Saki, and Cardi Sadi did very well in the first half to be able to hold the scrum, and it was a key area where I think the Stormers were hoping to dominate the area, but the Lions really did bring it in the first half, and physically they were up to it. And you look at the first try, you know, some lovely, enterprising play. The Lions did not want to kick the ball a lot today. There were 2-3 instances where we saw them going back to what made them such a fun team to watch back when they were in those sort of years when they made the Super Rugby finals. A willingness to run, a willingness not to sort of just go to the easy output, you know, and just small things like, you know, willing to go through 1 or 2 phases before you kick for touch. And it was nice to see a sort of return to that. And the try was exactly that. You know, it was run from virtually within the own half. You know, Alton Young's got smashed with a great hit by Leon Zas, and stood and popped up and got back to his feet, and then circled around the outside. You know, outside Burger Erndal to Raps Makwane, back to Alton Yankees, and back to Makwane who went over. And very good to see his first try, and it looked good. And then the Lions should have had a second. There was no excuse not to. When Burger Udendal ran over, but for a forward pass by Jack Creel, which was very touch and go. It was one of those where the pass definitely drifted forward. You had to look at the angle of the hands, and it was one of those that could go either way. I don't think there could have been any complaints if it had stood, just as there aren't really too many complaints that it didn't stand. It was one of those 50-50 calls, and you have to take it on the chin. But you know, the only way the Stormers came back into the game was just lack of discipline by the Lions. I mean, the first penalty, the Lions went 3-0 up, and the first thing that happened after the kickoff was Jakob Creel conceded the penalty right in front of the poles, 3-3. You know, and even though Damian Willemse, and I think it's a big problem for the Stormers, didn't have his best day with the boot, which he often does, it's not one of his strengths. And I think if they could find somebody to try and, you know, to start developing their goal kicking, it would be a big asset to the Stormers. Because I just worry that Damian Willemse, he struggles with his kicking. He does. He missed 2 kicks tonight, and kicks that he should be getting over, especially the one we had opportunity to, you know, put the game to bed. And it went to the right of the poles, and he needs to be finishing that. You know, if he wants to be a Springbok flower half, you can't be missing those situations in a test match, for example. So a bit of a worry about the Stormers, and the Stormers just did a very good job of staying in it. You know, and the Lions were sort of building up there, and they had a nice try again on the counter attack with where Alton Yankees dotted down. And so at halftime, you know, everything looked good. Everything looked very much in favor of the Lions, and it looked like it was going to be not a straightforward win, but they just looked like a much better team. The Stormers looked a bit not very match sharp, you know, making a couple of errors and a couple of knock-ons, that type of thing. Just a bit sort of sporadic and not quite gelling as a team. The second half, however, was a much different story. The Stormers really brought the game. They brought a lot more physicality. The set pieces got a lot better. You know, they won some key scrum penalties, which really did help. An intercept try, which sort of put Ricketts Pretorius there, and suddenly the Stormers were back in the game. And a couple of penalties, once again, the Lions discipline just letting them down. And another key moment was the final try, the winning try, where, you know, the Lions had a chance to try and clear their lines and conceded a very poor penalty. And from that, you know, the Stormers kicked a touch and managed to go wide. and score the winning try. And even, I mean, when that kick that David Williamson missed was another key moment, because it was just a few minutes to go. The Lions were still sort of getting back into it, and another penalty conceded, and a poor penalty, another penalty by Jaco Kriel, who's taken a while to get better, to really get into the form that Lions fans were used to watching him. And thankfully for the Lions, Williamson missed. And then, they got into the other end of the field, and they looked really good. And Alton Yankees looks like a whole different player at the moment. I don't quite know what it is about him, but he really has. I've never seen him play with such confidence. And we've seen some really good performances by him, but he just looks so much more mature at the moment. And I mean, the Lions almost scored where he literally went cross kick one, Diamani. We got up another sort of 30, 40 meters, and then straight back to Yankees, cross kick two, directly to Makwane. And suddenly, Berger Odendaal almost went through, and Lions won a penalty, and then they lost the ball, and to a poor turnover. At the end of the day, somebody took it into contact, and there wasn't enough support, and they lost the ball. So for the Storm, it's the perfect result, the perfect start to Super Rugby Unlocked. It wasn't their best performance by a long way, which is very positive for the Stormers, because if they can play badly, and not necessarily play badly, but if they can play to what wasn't probably their best and still get the result, it bodes well for them as a team. Because if they can just get a couple of things to gel, the line started looking very good. Someone stole a couple, so he was looking quite good there. The loose trio, I think, was a bit quiet for Stormers. Herschel Yankees continue to be a live wire, as does Morley van der Berg. All of a sudden, we finally got a lot of very exciting, young, and quite quick scrum halves. You got Snellen Ohamba, you now got Morley van der Berg, who had a very good, nice game for the Lions, and obviously Herschel Yankees, who we know how good he can be. And it's good to see that we've got some nice young scrum halves who are in the sort of Faf de Klerk mold, really, where they're live wires, they like to attack the space, they're very in your face, they like to have quick ball, which bodes well, because we want to watch attractive rugby. We don't want to watch dreary rugby, and these scrum halves that are coming up really are making it a pleasure to watch. But yeah, so I think one of those games where the Stormers, you don't look too much to the performance. You think, right, well, it's our first official game back. It was always going to be a little bit rusty, and it was, but they got the result. They did the job because they did the basics right, and they won the key clashes. The Lions can take heart from this performance in that they were in the game, and arguably, a couple of things went their way, like the forward pass, if it was, if Krila just slightly backwards, and that stood, and if they just hadn't thrown an intercept pass, suddenly the Lions were winning that game. And the same as the Sharks, it's a game where they were in there to win. So they can take heart in the fact that they are continuously in the match, but discipline. They cannot afford to be so ill-disciplined. They will lose matches unless they can sort that out. And it's such an important aspect of the game, where small things. If you get the 3 points and don't concede that penalty automatically, it means that you've got a bit of a lead. But all you're doing is the Lions just kept undoing all the good work they did, and they just need to cut that out. And suddenly, because they did have some very nice moments. Gianni Lombard came on and looked very good. I thought Berger Odendaal was probably the man of the match for the Lions. Played very nicely. Should have gotten a try on himself, but was very industrious, found some nice gaps. And I'd like to see him at inside centre and get some Milani back on the field and outside centre, because I think the Lions just need a little bit something on the attack. But a very interesting game, and still not that sort of 100% game. And you can understand, looking at the game, especially this game, even last night with the Bulls and the Cheetahs, why the Springboks are not going to be playing in the Rugby Championship, because it's still quite sloppy. We still have a lot of work to do before you can get to a standard of Test rugby. But at the end of the day, a nice close clash, which is good to see. We're seeing a lot of close clashes, which is nice, because it looks like all the teams are fairly even. Apart from the Cheetahs, who thrashed the Pumas last week, I think all games have been decided within 10 points, pretty much. So from that sort of perspective, it's been a very nice, refreshing change to see the clashes being so tight. And this bodes well. And so as always, please make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, bottom right-hand corner there. Smash like as well. And we're going to be doing a couple more videos. Obviously, do a review of the entire weekend. We'll try and figure out 5 things that we've learned and all that sort of stuff. So lots of content coming up to you from Forever Sports and Forever Rugby. Thank you very much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.